All right, welcome to Stoichiometry video number 2. So in this we're going to go over a different problem, and by going through this problem we should be able to figure out a little bit more about stoichiometry, how to do it. This one's a little bit more simple one in the sense that give you the equation and its balance. So starting off with an equation that's totally given and already balanced eliminates a lot of steps and a lot of error. So this one's a bit easier to get correct, and hopefully you're able to do it on your own and you can follow through real quickly on what to do. So it says, or what I've done is I've said, okay, I put in 0.320 moles of each of the reactants. So we have two reactants, aluminum hydroxide and sulfuric acid. So we put in 0.32 moles of each of those. And so the question becomes, how many moles of the product are we going to form? Well, look, the ratio, if you look at this ratio here, this is a 2, right? So right here, this is a 2, and then this is a 3. And so the ratio is 2 to 3. So what we understand is that this particular reactant has to have a 3 to 2 ratio. This has to be 1.5 times larger than this one. And so then that is going to make this the limiting reactant, because this one, because it has to have more than this one, and since they're the same going in, this one's going to run out first. And so then what we find out is that is our limiting reactant. So our ratio should be 2 to 3, and so we have 2 to 3, or a ratio of 2 to 3 right here, and so we find out that this is definitely limiting. So then if this one's limiting, we're going to use the limiting to figure out how to figure out the products over here. So once you figure out the limiting, and that's simply just looking at the amount of moles, you have to get everything to moles. So if we'd started with grams, we would have wanted to convert these to moles. But once you get into moles, you look at the ratios, and the one that runs out first because of the ratios is the limiting. And the reason it's limiting is because this is going to run out first, and it's going to leave some of this left over because this has too much. And so now we need to figure out the amount of moles of aluminum sulfate. So if we look at aluminum sulfate, what's the ratio here? We have a 3 to 1. So 3 to 1. So this particular product is going to have 3 times less the amount of moles as this. Well, how do we figure out something that's 3 times less? We divide it by 3. So if we divide it by 3, we want to figure out how many moles of this were formed. It's a 3 to 1 ratio. So let's go ahead and figure that out. Divide 0.30 moles by 3, and we end up with 0.107 moles. And so then that's the answer for that one, is how many moles of this formed? 0.107 moles. And that should make sense, because 0.107 is exactly 3 times smaller than this, which matches up to the ratio. So in stoichiometry, you do everything into moles, and then you take those moles and you match it up to the ratio, which is found by the balanced equation. So our ratio is 2 to 3 to 1 to 6. And so there's actually going to be some extra. So what if we were to figure out how much extra we had here? So to do that, we'd have to figure out how much was used. So to figure out how much excess we have, we'll set this up as a proportion. So the proportion is the idea of this one, the 3 one, we know how much that is, 0.320, so that's over 3. So this one is over 3. And then this one over here, we want to know what it is over 2. And so this number right here, I'll erase it because we wouldn't know what that number is. So what you're doing is you're saying, I want to know this number set to a 2 to 3 ratio. So you put this number over its ratio, which is 3, this amount of moles, and then this amount of moles over its ratio, which is 2. You would cross multiply 0.320 times 2, divide it by 3, and you get your answer of, I think it was 0.213. So 0.213. So this is actually the amount you were able to use of this. And so then to figure out the amount of excess, you would subtract 0.213 from 0.320, because you actually had 0.230 to start off with, but the ratio showed you that this was going to be too much, because it has to be a 2 to 3 ratio. And so when you only use 0.213, what we want to do is subtract it from our original amount to find out how much is left over. We find out we have 0.107 moles excess aluminum hydroxide left over. So there's the answer for that. And there's the answer for that one. All right, hopefully that was informative and helpful for you for solving that particular stoichiometry problem.